Today we're going to test the L-COM LCANOM1146 Gooseneck antenna, Lima Charlie Alpha November Oscar Mike 1146 L-COM. This is the form factor. It is a gooseneck antenna, flexible at the end with an SMA connector. And we've got it on our Rigol DSA815 spectrum analyzer with tracking generator. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure nothing's connected to our SWR bridge over here except our SWR bridge and our adapters. No antenna should be hooked up, no load, nothing should be hooked up to this right now. We're going to measure it open. So first thing we do is under measure we go to mesh, and under mesh we have a listing here for VSWR on top, so it's currently off, so we're going to click the button to its right and it will turn it on. Then we're going to go back under the measure menu and measure setup, and the second option down is an option called calibrate open. That's what's going to calibrate our bridge over here. So we're going to click that once and it's going to calibrate our open bridge. Alright, and then now we can put on our antenna. So I'm going to go ahead and screw in the antenna now here, and make sure it's hand snug and off to the right here. Cool. And then we'll come back onto here and we'll click VSWR, and now you can see we have some readings on there. And let's bring it down so we can understand it. So to the right of reference level, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about the 6th menu item down to the right, there's a button. Click it. It'll enable a reference menu, and then with the dial you can dial down that center line. So it's a little easier to read. So let's make it a clean division of, let's say 50. So we brought the reference level down 50 dB. So see a bunch of spikes in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to determine what the VSWR reading is for each of these spikes on the menu here. And we're going to do that with the marker. So that's a little 1 you see there. So under the marker menu here, we have options to enable different functions for that marker. So I'll give you an idea. If we hit peak, let me go to marker actually. So we'll go to marker first, click marker under marker, and it'll show you that we've selected the first marker. So this is the first tap, if you will, on the graph that will give us some data. So we've selected marker, and if we click peak, it will let us tell that marker to select the peak out of the line that it's currently hovering over. So right now you can see the peak's right there where that one line is at, and it's giving us a reading, a VSWR reading down here on the bottom. That's currently the peak out of this entire range that we're measuring. Say we want to measure another peak. There's two ways we could do that. We could toggle it like this and sit here all day, or if we hit the peak button, we can say next peak, peak left, or peak right. So let's say we want to go to our left, let's peak left. So now it's jumped that marker to the next peak to the left. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that to sort of hopscotch down the band for each of these bands that this antenna seems to support, and we're just going to add some markers there. We can only do 4 at a time, so I see more than 4 peaks here. The span that we're interested in is on the lower half. We could also change our graph to only show the lower half, but 1 step at a time. Alright, so we're going to keep clicking peak left until we get, no peak found. Okay, so we'll toggle that one. I'm just interested what this lower band is down here. And if we got more granular, there's other functions we could do to let this, so we wouldn't have to hand gem this, but for now this is what we're doing. Okay, cool. So we're going to keep that one there. Okay, I'm going to go back to measure setup, and we're going to enable marker 2. So next to marker, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a button. We clicked that button to the right, and it currently shows the marker state as off. So we're going to click the button to the right to select that submenu, and then we're going to change that to on. So now we've turned on the second marker, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click peak, and it's going to jump to the peak of the entire graph, but we want to go left, so we're going to peak left, peak left. Peak left. Okay, cool. So now 1 is on our first peak, 2 is on our second peak, and we'll follow that pattern. So we're going to go back to measurement setup, marker 3, marker state, marker on, peak, peak left. Cool. And then last one. So marker state, on, peak left. Cool. Alright, so now you can see we have the peaks for each of these VSWR readings. We can see the frequency that it's at, sort of the center frequency, the return loss efficient, and then the VSWR reading. For what we're doing here today, we're interested in the VSWR reading for each of these. So let's do that first. Let's take that reading first, and we'll get some additional readings. So what I'm going to do is, I believe I'm going to hit this print button over here. And yes, and it's going to ask me to, so it's going to save essentially a screenshot of this, which I'll add to a video of what the display is seeing here right now, so you don't have to ruin your eyes trying to read this. Whew, okay, and then it downloads to a PlayStation. I don't know what it's doing. It's so slow. So let's figure out what these other two peaks are since we're here. So since we have peak, we have marker 4 selected. We're going to go to peak. It's currently on the peak. We're going to go peak right. And peak right is 1.152 gigahertz. Cool. And one more peak to the right is 1.34 gigahertz. So in addition to these other sort of notches here, this frequency, or this antenna, has good resonance in the L band, around 1.3 gigahertz and 1.15 gigahertz. Cool.